Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya.
Rama 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 भगवान श्री योगी रामसूरतकुमार की जय। सर्वं योगी रामसूरतकुमारार्पणमस्तु। We can never thank Bhagwan sufficiently for all that he is doing for us. More so when he makes us all sit here in his powerful shrine and chant his name. It is no small grace, and our boundless, endless, grateful pranams to him. Now we shall see, yesterday we started how Bhagwan could play with words. Today we shall see in New York, Srimati Hilda, an advanced soul who had been to India several times to stay with great masters. She had come to see Bhagwan also with her group, and there was a very close understanding between the two. Though they never met each other on the physical level, they could communicate to each other several things that we could never understand. And then she started to send her students in groups to have darshan of Bhagwan. There, back in New York, they have an ashram, Sevashram, they call it. About 300 students. Every Sunday and some special days, she would lecture on her trips to India, the time she spent with the great masters, and her own spiritual experiences. She had talked so much about Bhagwan, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, one of those hidden saints. This is how she referred to him. Indeed, Bhagwan, if you look at his life, he stayed for 17 years after he landed in Tiruvannamalai. He was wandering in the streets. There was no roof overhead. There was no promised food. He depended only on chance meal. And he had his own places, haunts, where he would hide, because he was doing a tremendous cosmic work which he called Father's work, which needed complete privacy, no intervention from outside. To avoid these extraneous disturbances, he always sought solitude. And indeed, at times when he sensed that a crowd was approaching him, he would run away from the place. And those 17 years, no regular food. And he was subjected to all kinds of tortures from the local rowdies. Yet he never complained. He called it all Father's grace. And the next 17 years, by then people began to realize that he was no common beggar. And then it was becoming more difficult for them to come and have the darshan of Bhagwan because he did not have a regular place. So finally, they somehow managed to get permission from him to buy a house, the Sannadi Street house, and begged and begged. Finally, he consented to shift. And there again, for 17 years, he lived, but mostly he would be wandering around or spending much time in the temple. And he never kept anybody with him. He lived all alone. After those 17 years, the last 7 years of his life, again the devotees besieged him so much. Finally, he said, yes, you can build an ashram on one condition. Don't expect this beggar to come and live there. This beggar would visit, give darshan and go. So he came and he fell sick. He was already 77 years. The infirmities of old age. He never utilized that power that he used for his devotees upon himself. He always said that power is not for this body. He lived a surrendered life from moment to moment. Finally, when he fell sick, down with viral fever, he needed somebody to look after him. And he needed a better place to live, more light and more air, and less noise. And that's how he finally accepted to come and stay in Sudama. Again in Sudama, he stayed only in the veranda, be it burning sun of the summer or pouring rain. He would not come inside. He always did his spiritual ministry only in that veranda of Sudama. He never changed his ways. He was still wearing dirty clothes. He took only 3 times bath in those 7 years. He never changed his style of functioning or living. And he chose Sudama probably because he had to supervise the upcoming ashram. It has been a life of austerity, complete austerity and sacrifice. So when Hilda Charlton found this hidden saint in the laps of Arunachala Hill, she was wonderstruck, and she often talked about him to her disciples. Now some of her disciples, when they came to meet, have darshan of Bhagwan, they have shared their experiences with us. And there you see his fine sense of humor and his play with words. Let's see some of them. Louise Blue, she was also called Jyoti. She came in a group to have darshan of Bhagwan. They came to Tiruvannamalai and took up rooms in Udupi Hotel. They were going to come the next morning for darshan of Bhagwan, but early morning, all of a sudden, Bhagwan appeared at the doorstep of their rooms. You can imagine the reactions. Many were still sleeping and some were slowly getting up. And suddenly, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, awesome, that they were always awestruck. And here he was at the very doorstep, waking them up. So many people reacted in many ways. Their leader, Victor Blue, Bhagwan came and sat in the lobby of the hotel and asked for Victor, the leader of the group. As soon as he came down, you can imagine in one jump, he just jumped up and then came running down to meet Bhagwan, and Bhagwan took his hand. And Victor Blue has described the reactions of those people in every room. When Bhagwan made it a point to knock on the door of every room, to call out those people to come and gather. And that's how the early morning darshan started. Now Lucy Blue says that Bhagwan always asked for names and what they did for a living. Now when she said that she was working for the United Nations, Bhagwan immediately laughed, the thunderous laughter, and said, "Oh, Jyoti is working for uniting the nations. She is uniting the nations." He went on repeating it and laughed so much. And then there was one Cohen, Lee Cohen, and Bhagwan wanted to know what he was doing. He said he was a carpenter. Bhagwan said, "Carpenter? Carpenter? 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 Carpenter." Finally he ended up saying, "Carpenter." And of course everybody looked at each other, not knowing what Leela he was playing. And suddenly Lee Cohen, who was a carpenter, knew in a flash. He just remembered, though his profession was carpentry, just before he came to India, he had taken up the work of painting the cars. Just see, without being told, how Bhagwan came to this fact. You can imagine how Lee Cohen must have reacted. Now, this was the play of words. There was somebody there, the group, and Bhagwan wanted to know a relative of his whom Bhagwan knew, what he was doing. Then someone said, "Is a lawyer by profession." "Oh, lawyer, 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 liar, liar." He ended up saying liar. And then everybody laughed, because everybody knew what he meant. There is a general opinion that the lawyers have to lie sometimes in order to win the case for their clients. So probably that man must have done something like that, and Bhagwan was referring to it. Only he knew. So you see, another time there was this Nancy Brand and her husband John. Swami went and knocked on their door, and then both of them got ready within 5 minutes and came down running to sit with him. Now Bhagwan asked, there was one Steve with them. He asked that Steve what he was doing. Now Steve said, I am working for my mother in real estate. Immediately, Bhagwan broke into peals of laughter and said, oh, you are working for your mother. Oh, this beggar is working for his father. And laughed, drawing everybody with him in the laughter. And then Nancy, Bhagwan asked her name, and then he said, Nancy, your husband John, what is he doing? She said, she was going to say psychotherapist. And suddenly she doubted whether he would know the meaning at all. So she went to great pains to explain what he was doing, dealing with the problems of men and women and children, especially, who live together in a household. She said, he's treating them, he's talking them out of their psychological problems. Immediately Bhagwan said, oh, he's a psychologist. In one word, he said it all when she went to lengthy explanations to express herself. Nancy says that she was ashamed, she felt very stupid, explaining all those things to someone who knew better than her. And then Bhagwan asked her what she herself was doing. Nancy said she was now she thought Bhagwan knew more than what met the eye. And so she said she was a chiropractor. Bhagwan said, chiropractor. He tried to pronounce it correctly. He tried to get it right. So after getting it right, he said, what does that mean? Then Nancy went on to explain that she was a doctor, spine health problems. Doctor for spine health. And then she explained how the spine and the nerves are closely related, and how by doing some gestures, some finding some pressure points and moving the muscles, the spine could be treated, and through that the nerves. Immediately Bhagwan said, oh, you are working for the spine and he is working for the mind. And then he said, Nancy for the spine and John for the mind. he pronounced the D lightly so that it sounded like spine and mind, the rhythm, the rhymes, no? Very quickly he would do all this. It cannot happen unless you have a command of the language. And he handled it with such ease and efficiency, proficiency. Now, I remember another incident. Shri Kivaja, KVJ, he used to sing songs extemporarily. Whenever he came and sat in the company of Bhagwan, the vibrant presence of Bhagwan, he would start singing and words would roll out in a great flow, and people found it difficult to take it down. There was such speed as well and spontaneity. So some of the songs were made into a book. And once one Shastri had come to see Bhagwan. Of course, he was a great devotee of Yogi Ramsuratkumar. Sometimes he would walk 2 miles to come to Bhagwan from his house. So the Shastri ji was there. Usually Bhagwan would give him a fruit and then leave him. But that particular day, Bhagwan went all the way inside, brought a book, the book of Shri KVJ's songs. Then he blessed the book and gave it to him as prasad. Of course, Shastri knew better. He knew it was something very special that he had given that day. He hugged it close to his chest and started to walk. As he was doing his regular 2-mile walk through the fields, suddenly it was getting dark and he was bitten by a snake. He knew it was a snake, but in spite of that, he began to walk very fast, hugging closer and closer the book to his chest. And then only after he reached his house, he fainted. And then the doctor was called to attend. And after that, they gave injections and medicines. He was back to normal the next day morning. So when he met Bhagwan again, he reported all that happened. He said, when he knew it was snake bite, he could still walk 2 miles because as soon as he knew it was a snake, he hugged the prasad book so close, he says he drew strength from the book. He became peaceful and was able to walk very fast. And nothing happened until he reached his house, when he fainted. And the Shastriji said, it's all the glory of the book that he gave, the glory of the songs. So Bhagwan began to tell Shri KVJ, your songs are all very powerful. My father is sitting on your tongue when you sing upon this beggar. They are coming straight from my father through your mouth. These songs are all very powerful, and those who sing those songs, people come and tell this beggar, they derive a lot of peace after singing these songs. So he said, peace. People get peace out of your song. And immediately, Shri KVJ was a punster. He was very well known for his expertise in handling words, in playing with words. As he was a punster, immediately he took the word peace and said, Swami, okay, people may get peace, but they should get piecemeal. Of course, the meaning is different, but he used the word meal. To refer to the word meal, he used this piecemeal. It contained peace and meal. Meaning that it should give them food, not just peace. And pat came the reply from Bhagwan, yes, yes, people will get peace and meals also. How could they be peaceful if they don't get meals? And then he laughed, his thunderous laughter. Just see the way they play with each other. How they play upon the pun. KVJ, it was a habit with him. He was always doing that. But Bhagwan, only at times, but when it came out, at times, it was perfect. Just as you see now. So Bhagwan mentioned the word peace. So that is also a lesson for all of us. Bhagwan says, whoever sings Kivaja songs, they would get a lot of peace. They would be able to feel peace in their heart. And then Kivaja said, they should get piecemeal. And then Bhagwan said, of course, peace and meal. Because how could there be peace without meals? And then he laughed. And everybody did. Everybody joined. And one last a memory comes to me, rushing. When I was coming and going from the college, where I was working as a professor, after I had met Bhagwan, everything had changed completely. The only thing that mattered in my life was my darshan of Bhagwan. Because I had found a great, great master. I had worshipped Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, and I was fond of Ramana and Shirdi Baba. They were my ideals, and I wanted a guru like them, or any one of them. And then I found Bhagwan, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, and then I no more wanted to be in the world, doing my work and teaching physics, this and that. So I felt like sannyas. I rushed to Bhagwan and then begged him to give me sannyas. Bhagwan said, that is not for you. There is no need for sannyas for you. So I kept quiet. I even thought probably I didn't deserve it. Anyway, I could do nothing about it. I left it at that. After some time I asked Bhagwan, Bhagwan, at least please give me a new name. I don't want to be Devaki anymore. I want a new name from you. Bhagwan said, your name is quite good. There is no need to change that. Devaki is mother of Krishna. It's a good name. There is no need to change. I left it at that again because I had no choice. But then there was this grumbling, a little grumbling in the corner of my mind, because I so much wanted a new name. Afterwards, one day, I really felt so much about it, and I was coming to him. Of course, he always knew the thoughts of people. So that day, I was almost crying that I don't want the same life to continue. I wanted to give up my job. I wanted to be somewhere in Tiruvannamalai so that I could have regular darshan of him. I have found someone like Yogi Ramsuratkumar, and how could I leave? What is there in the world greater than him? So my mind was bent upon that, and I was thinking, okay, he doesn't want to change even my name, so we get only what we deserve in life. So I was trying to reconcile myself to that, and after the darshan was over, he took up the cigarette paper that was lying down, wrote something, and that day he did not give me any other prasad. He just dropped this paper into my hand and said, "This beggar leaves you now." So I just took it. It's only after I came out, I saw it was written, Yogi Ramsuratkumar Devaki. The play of words. But then he accepted me later as his eternal slave. And he called me Ma. He gave me the title Ma Devaki. He made me his eternal slave. So his play upon words, it's not mere play either. It has depths we may not be able to get into. But they always carry something far deeper and beneficial. Now this Bhagwan is here right in front of us. Let us appeal to his boundless generosity and seek his blessings for the entire humanity. Bhagwan, we beg you 1,000,000 times for your immediate divine intervention to free the humanity from the dreadful clutches of this monstrous virus and its variant, and bring back normalcy in every aspect of life, everywhere. And please uproot the panic from the hearts of people, which is doing more harm than the pandemic, and arrest the rapid spread of the disease. Enter into those medicines so that these viruses can be killed once for all. And all those people who have been afflicted with this and are suffering in some way or the other for lack of facilities, lack of medication, treatment, please reach out to them and give them what they need so that they get well soon and return home safe. And all those great people of sacrifice, the Tyagis, they are the brave soldiers laboring day and night for the sake of the others at the very risk of their lives. Please give them protection and all-round welfare. And we beg you for a lift to economy, and above all, please bless us with constant remembrance of your name and the attitude of being a fitting instrument, a willing and fitting instrument in your hands, and offer our lives. Go about our lives as an offering to you. And finally, we beg soulfully, intensely, 1,000,000 times for that supreme blessing which would transform us in all totality, so that we would see only your presence and your blessings in every aspect of life, in every happening of life. you have said, the closer one is to God, the higher the interpretation one puts upon events, happenings. So let us learn to give only a higher interpretation to every happening so that we get closer to God. Jai Yogi Ramsuratkumar.
Yogi Ramsuratkumar.